great to have you. So it seems like you're arguing Apple's trying to get close to that old love and feeling of carrier subsidies by using trade-ins, giving really good value on your old phone and then helping finance the new phone to spread out payments. But when everybody knows that 5G is coming next cycle, doesn't that hurt the upgrade opportunity this year?
Yeah, no, it's a good question, John. Look, I think that the way to think about it is that the install base is close to almost 1 billion users at this point. And our proprietary survey shows that there's about 200 million really old phones. These are 6 and older. At this point, with iOS 13 in the works, which is supposed to not support anything before 6S, we think it's a great time to be offering premiums on the older phones. If you look at the data that we've looked at, there is a significant amount of premium that Apple's offering on these older phones, much more than any third-party sites, and this is globally. And the most interesting thing is, in China, they're actually offering the highest premium. And China is a super price-sensitive market, so the price elasticity over there really matters. So they're trying to combat this overall effect of an elongation of replacement cycle, and all they need to do is slightly turn that down just by a month or two, and you can get as much as 15 million units to the upside. So we think it's a very powerful lever.
That's why I wonder, is this the most important Singles Day coming up that we've seen for Apple? November 11th. Big invented holiday in China, kind of like Amazon Prime Day here in the U.S. Apple has at times engaged in some promotional activity during Singles Day. This year, emerging markets, a lot of markets outside of the U.S. have been a little weak, and they need this, right?
Yeah, I think that it's very interesting. If you look at the comments across a lot of the companies that have reported, emerging markets are becoming more and more of an area of concern, partly because of demand slowdown, but also because of foreign exchange reasons. And so we've seen this price sensitivity turn on and off when you get like a little bit of movement in the Chinese currency, especially if that's moving against you. Apple has been very careful to make sure that they move in tandem. When the VATs went on, they made sure that they got the benefit of that. So I think price sensitivity is very important in this market. And so to your point, can Singles Day be an opportunity for them? Yes, of course.
Let's talk tariffs a little bit more here, because we know that tariffs, 10% tariffs on imported iPhones and laptop computers have been pushed off to December. But AirPods, Apple Watch, HomePod, some of these other faster growing, very promising businesses are not going to escape those tariffs starting September 1st. How does this play out?
Yeah, so, we did our analysis looking at the entire portfolio originally on September 1st tariffs, and that was about 75 cents of impact to the business. But now when we look at it, the segment of the products that are going to get impacted is actually quite small. It's only about 10% of total Apple revenue, and when you think that the U.S. is only 40% of total revenues, you're talking about a 4% exposure to total revenues. From a tariff perspective, that's something that's actually manageable. So a 10% raise on that small piece of the portfolio, not quite as worrisome. If December 15th goes on for the whole portfolio, clearly that's a larger.
So not to beat a dead horse, but Are you seeing any incremental signs that they are trying to move significant assembly outside of China? And how long would that take at scale?
Carl, they've been trying to do smaller volume things. So we've seen, for instance, some of the lower-end iPhone production that is getting moved out of China. They've got Wistron as a partner that's trying to build some in India, for instance. Vietnam is another place. You're looking at Quanta making watches outside of China. So there are examples of smaller volume products, and we do some stuff here in the U.S. as well when it comes to the Mac Pro and things like that. So there is some evidence that there is some movement in there. It's not en masse yet. It's not for the large volume products. You've seen in the news lately, though, that there are partners like Inventec, for instance, that are starting to move more out of China to avoid tariffs. And it's happened more on the server side, a little bit on the PC side, not specifically to Apple, but I think that there is a directional movement out of China in the supply chain, more moving to Southeast Asia at the moment, and some to Mexico, which we got all the tariff sort of, whack-a-mole trade war a little bit. But I think that there is some movement net-net.